Well, hello and welcome to a special edition of StyleRX. We are kind of veering off of our normal topics on fashion and talking a little bit about visioneering. Today is January 1st, 2021. We made it. 2020. Yeah. 2020 is behind us. Yay! But we just thought we'd talk a little bit about the strategy behind. I know I get a lot of questions, and I'm sure Amy, you do as well, your strategy for the year. So that's what we're here to kind of visit about today. If you're joining us live, we're so excited to have you. Make sure that you mute, and then we'll keep the screen right where we need it for the recording. And if you're joining us on our YouTube channel, we're so excited that you're here. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell as well, and you'll receive notifications when we post a new video, which is each and every Friday.
Yes, we're so excited about this new year. I think everyone just needs to breathe because that is a big part of visioneering. And for me, taking my goals and being able to just give myself a moment to breathe in the moment of what I want, how I want to accomplish it, it always seems to help me just kind of refocus. I think last year was a year of creativity. We had to get gritty. We had to really kind of adapt and change. And a lot of the goals that we set for ourselves in January tanked in a hurry. And so I think the other big part about that breathing aspect is sometimes we have to be willing to change our goals. We have to reassess as we go. So I'm super excited to hear from Rebecca today and learn from her. As well as we know each other, it's always fun to get into those little nuggets of what we do that we may kind of overlook day to day and really kind of collaborate and talk and find some things that have really worked for us. And if anything, 2020 really helped us figure out that we don't have to always do things exactly as is. And I'm one that loves the comfort zone. And I love that saying, if the wheel isn't broken, don't change it. But last year, all the wheels fell off. So going into 2021, I'm really trying to go off habits that were really successful for me in the past with that new idea of how do I stay creative? How do I keep it fresh while still attaining the things that I want to attain?
Yeah, and I think it's important that as we're closing out this year that has been challenging. I mean, there's been some crazy things that have happened, but it's important to not only look at the challenges, but to look at the blessings and really sit in gratitude for a while and reflect on what's gone well. How you've maybe adjusted your priorities and things are just looking a little bit different for you. So while, yep, we had master plans, but we are not the ultimate planner of our universe. We do have a God in heaven that looks after us and has that plan for us. And sometimes we've got to be willing to just step back and allow his plan to take place. And that's really where the growth happens for me, is just being able to realize that I'm not in control and I've got to relinquish that.
I love
So
that, Rebecca. And I also think that's why it was so important we called this visioneering, because I think oftentimes when we're setting goals, it's sort of like tunnel vision. And really, what we're trying to bring to you today is the whole aspect of your life. You're not going to be able to find balance in everything in the moment, but we can talk spiritual, we can talk business, we can talk personal, we can talk physical, we can talk mental. So, all of these things come together in a long-term vision of what you want for this year.
absolutely. Balance is an illusion. And so typically we are striving for that, but it's just always going to be out there in the future. And I think we've got to just really sink into what our priorities are and then base our time that we invest on those priorities. And so I've really gotten away from even calling it goals, or I've not used resolutions for a long time just because you don't ever stick with them. But if you really think about what your priorities are for your life, and then you try to design your life around those priorities, that works extremely well for me.
I have a dog sneaking into the room. Sandy, go lay down. Sorry. I was like, hey, we have to adapt to every situation, right? Braley
That's
did
right.
not put her in her crate. Sorry about that.
You're both dog women, so that's perfect. And when I sit down and really start talking about priorities, I think it's also important to look at what fills your cup. So if you're constantly pouring into other people, then pretty quick your cup's going to be empty and there's going to be nothing left to give to anyone else. And so how do you fill that cup back up? What brings you joy in your life? Really be thinking about that. And is it a connection with friends and family? Is it date night with your husband? Is it spending one-on-one time with your kids? Is it a massage? What is that really brings you joy? For me, getting out and just being in nature when it's not 10 degrees brings me tons of joy and revitalizes me. Being out with the animals always is a huge lifter. So identify what that is for yourself.
Well, and as you're talking about joy, we're going to be talking about calendaring as well, because how many times do we feel like we just run out of time for ourselves? So I love that that's something that we really need to put in the forefront, because if we can't take care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, we really can't take care of our businesses, our families, our friends. And so blocking a calendar is hugely important for those things that you want in your life. You guys, we all have the same 24 hours. We are all juggling families and business and everything else. So why are we not scheduling in those moments that we want? I don't care if it's a cabbie show. I don't care if it's a dentist appointment. I don't care if it's that massage or that hike. We have to allow that time that's really important. That's the only way we're going to feel balanced. And I, by nature, am not one that loves to live off a calendar. My life, however, has adapted me to have to. It is a I have to. And so I find that when I start to let that go, that's when I start to get stressed. My house becomes a mess. I start to get a little bit mean and ornery because I haven't had the time, because now everything is, now I have to clean the house on my spare moments, and then I have to do this. So it's something that for me is a trained habit. I have to work on that intentionally every single day. It is not by nature something I want to do. I think it's so easy to just plug in what I need to do on my phone. But you know what? We still need to go off an analog life a little bit. There still needs to be something that we can see in front of us. And it doesn't matter, you guys. We have to plan those days. We have to plan those coffee breaks with our girlfriends. Again, we only have 24 hours, and I find it's really easy to say no. And oftentimes we hear this saying of just say no. It's okay to say no. But you know what? We get in that isolated moment of, oh, I'm just not going to do it. And we start not doing anything. And so I'm going to challenge you actually to say yes to the things that count. So if you really want to make that time, say yes to it. Absolutely. Make yourself leave your house for the day, but write it down. And so that's what this is all about, is we are really trying to give you ideas on how you can fit those few moments, even if it's 10 minutes in the morning. That might be your spiritual goal, to give yourself 10 minutes in the morning before you get out of bed to either meditate or read a book or find some kind of way to clear your head. Schedule it in.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, Amy, is just really be purposeful about it. And I think that for all the people pleasers out there, saying no is not an easy feat. And so if you're finding yourself overwhelmed by all the things that you're saying yes to, then absolutely give yourself some grace to say no.
Yeah.
But if you are one that, I mean, many of us have experienced the last several months a lot more time at home than what we're used to. And so that can lead to kind of hiding out and hibernating. And you've got to start stretching those muscles and putting yourself back out there. I'm finding that true for myself is just, it's really nice and comfy and safe here on the farm, but I have to get back out there and be out in public and in front of people, and that's where things happen. So whichever direction you're needing to stretch those muscles, whether it's saying yes or saying no, do that.
But I think that's the one thing that I found freedom from. Once I started scheduling in those little moments, it was really easy for me to say to somebody, well, let me check my calendar and get back to you. And either I could fit it in when I had the time, or I could say, you know what, I can't do it right now. And it took the fear away from either side of that. So it took away the pressure of saying yes all the time, but it also took the fear out of saying, you know what, I just can't do that right now. It was actually, you know what, I'd love to help you, but maybe in 2 or 3 months, I'm pretty scheduled out. So it really is one of those freeing things. And not only that, it is a safe place. And quick story, yesterday, my sisters are out of town. They wanted Breely to go ice skating. It's an hour drive in, an hour drive back. And it was so easy for me to say, no, but she's wanted to ice skate forever. So we got up, we got dressed, we got in the car, and lo and behold, a propane tanker rolled. And so they had a mile area where they had to evacuate so the truck didn't blow up. I could not get to our ice skating destination. And I had this little girl in the back seat that was just crying. I mean, it made me, my daughter. And oh my gosh, I just sobbed. Well, had we not done that. So anyway, quick plan B, we had to adapt. I pulled over in front of her best friend's little house and I called her mom and I said, is your daughter in there? Can we steal her for a couple of hours? Breely is out here crying. And she ended up having an amazing play date. I let her stay till 8:30 at night. If I hadn't even tried to go ice skating, Breely and I would have been home. She would not have even had a play date. So I guess that's a learning curve for me too. I really have to be intentional on even the fun things for my family because I don't do that very often. I'm not very good at that. That's one thing I really need to be purposeful about is making sure that Breely even has those times. But that's another aspect of being busy, right? Is
Yeah.
trying to fit all that in with our family.
Well, and that story really shows the power that's in the pivot as well. Instead of just, throwing in the towel and saying it's a complete loss, you figure things out. And you do that in your personal life, you do that in your business, you do that in every aspect. Health, I mean, I think many of us are coming off the holidays and we've probably indulged a little bit differently than what we normally have, or maybe we've stress ate through 2020 and we're like, oh boy, it's time to make some different changes. But we can pivot and make those different changes right in the moment. And it doesn't have to be a futuristic type thought.
Well, and you just had surgery too. So that's another physical aspect that could really pull you back. And Rebecca, the one thing I want to talk about visioneering is finding accountability. Um, it doesn't have to be somebody that knows exactly what you want your goals to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone in your home. You and I came into each other, I think, our lives at the time where we needed each other most. We didn't know it yet. We really didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't even really have a partnership. We had a friendship, we had Cabby in common, and we also had our leadership in common. But what I have loved, and I'm telling you this personally, is just, was it yesterday, late at night, I knew that you'd had surgery. I'd had a couple rough days. I've been exhausted. And I texted Rebecca and I said, are we doing StyleRX tomorrow? Because I really haven't had a lot of that brain function this week. And she said, absolutely. So what did that do for me? Let's talk. One, it made it so I couldn't get out of it. Thank goodness, because I love this hour with you. It made it so that I had to take a step back and say, okay, I've committed to this. This is something that's really important to me, but sometimes we need that other person to say, oh, no. This was planned. This was scheduled out. Again, This is something that we've written down and we've committed to. So it gave me that, okay, I don't have this excuse. It's New Year's Eve. I don't have the excuse to just sit on the couch. I had 2 hours. Yes, I was tired, but it actually turned my brain wheels going. And I went, okay, these are the things that I've had in the back of my mind. I don't want to let Rebecca down. I don't want to let our audience down. This is something we have been working towards for the past 6 months, and we have a goal to keep it getting better. So if I back out or if I don't fulfill my end of the deal, I'm letting so many people down, and I can't do that. So I want to thank Rebecca for being that, like, oh no, you're doing this kind of girl for me, because we do all need that.
Yeah, well, we definitely balance each other out, because there's has absolutely been times where it's been vice versa. So it is fantastic to have a team. One of the things, as we were talking, I had written down earlier a litmus test for me. And again, going back to that kind of saying yes, or also a scarcity mentality. But I think a lot of times we say, I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough money. And if we switch that in our brains to, that's not a priority for me right now, that changes things. And that was really liberating for me. And to think about, so, okay, if it means something completely different, if it's not a priority versus saying, well, I'm a victim and I don't have enough of something to make it happen.
I love that you brought that up, because I was actually reading a book and I can't remember the name of it, but it talked about the giving mentality. So if we're constantly saying, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't, you're not going to. It's just, it's what you will attract. The book was based on the law of attraction and different things. So instead of that, so it says, if you want more money, give a little extra. I think about the Heart of Cabby Foundation and how many times women say, they're always really good about giving that extra 10 cents. How many times do I stand in the grocery store line though, and they're saying, will you give $1 here or give $1 there? And it feels like we're constantly being tugged and pulled to give $1. So the last probably 30, 40 days, I've decided it's $1 here and $1 there. And I don't go to Starbucks, but I will, it's really easy for me to say to my kids, do you want to rent a movie, or do you want to do this? And that's $5 here, $5 there. So I've really decided that I'm going to give when I can and not worry about that. And I'm going to be charitable and not worry about it. Now, am I going to throw myself into a ton of debt doing it? No, I'm still going to be smart. But I'm really seeing a shift in my mental awareness of how many times I was kind of negative about my financial situation or the time that I had. And so it really is a powerful shift to say, you know what, let me give what I can. And I think that goes back to the same thing that you're saying with time for others. I may not be able to commit to the whole thing, but let me give you what I can. Maybe I can't attend, but I'd love to give to you in this way, So I think it really does open up your heart, your mind, and it creates opportunity that we wouldn't normally have as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we want to give you some real tangible action things, or things that you can take home and use today. And I know that you're passionate about calendaring. And so I'm going to let you kind of take that away. And I'll fill in some of the gaps and things that maybe I do in addition or different to. But something that I find is really handy for myself and others that I've coached is to do a big brain dump. I think that sometimes we have so many things ping ponging around in our brain that we get in this real frenetic energy, and to kind of take that down and make things seem manageable again, and actually figure out what is truly important, what can be delegated, what doesn't even need to be thought about again, what you need to do yourself. It helps just figure out those priorities. And so A brain dump is really what it sounds. You just start, you get a spiral notebook and you start writing down everything that comes to mind. And when you initially do one, you may just need to have this notebook with you for a couple days and just keep writing things down, writing things down. If it comes to your mind, it gets written in the book. If it's waking you up at night, it gets written in the book. And then you slowly then take a look at that and say, all right, so is this something that actually matters? If so, is it something I need to do? Is it something someone else in my family needs to do? Or do I need to delegate it to someone else? And you just kind of slowly get that off your plate, and you can calendar those items in, as well as Amy's going to coach on here in just a minute. But I think those brain dumps are just essential to kind of get started and also get in a more positive energy.
Oh my gosh, Rebecca, I love that. And I've actually heard so many people talk about keeping a notebook next to their bed because they'll wake up in the night, their brain is just going and they can't sleep. And once they write it down, they can relax. And so I do think our subconscious um, really brings a lot out of our concerns, our worries, our stresses. And if you can write it down, and I also believe in the power of being verbal. So oftentimes, we can think things in our head all day long, but until we say it verbally, um, it's just a thought. But there is power in writing things down and there is power in saying it out loud. And I do believe that the whole resolution thing is a very inattainable thing. And so I'm not a big one on like, I'm going to have all this set by New Year's Day. It goes back to your brain dump thing. I really want to think about the things over time that are important to me. So I love that because in January something might be important and then all of a sudden you may have a life change that changes that. And so I don't think that that brain dump is a one-time thing either. I think it's something that is a continual thing. So I love that you did that. And speaking of, in my private group, I asked everybody to give what their, I don't know if you pick a word of the year, but I do think that that's sort of something that comes from a brain dump. I think it's something that creates purpose, but I also think in times of stress or times of reflection, it's something that you can really focus on. The reason I like to find a word of the year is I feel like sometimes it's a way for me to go to resources. So I haven't found mine yet. I'm still bouncing around and I have to really settle on it. And I don't think it has to come on January 1st. It's something that has to mean something to me. So if I want to start reading a book, I might find a book on that topic. Or if I want to study something more spiritual, I might find something on that topic. So, in the past, I've been pretty hard on myself. And one word that I used the very first year I ever did it was grace. And it had a big meaning to me. I knew I needed to give myself grace. I had a grandmother named Grace, and she was the most humble, hardworking woman in the world. And I wanted to try and be more like her because in that moment, I found myself getting upset quickly. I was constantly on my kids. And so it had a big meaning. And I found throughout the year, I was able to research really what grace meant, and it helped me so much. So just curious, could you talk about your word of the year and why you chose it?
Yeah, I do choose a word of the year that I really kind of focus on, and it's something that I pray on, and like you say, it doesn't just come to you on January 1st. It's something that should be thoughtfully looked at because that becomes your focus for the year. And so Eucharistio is mine, and it means grace, joy, and thanksgiving, and that just really, for me, wraps everything into one word. And so coming off of a challenging year, just to be thinking about grace and giving myself grace, giving grace to others, also reflecting on all the blessings and things that have brought joy. So doing that and being thankful for what I have.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Rebecca. I was so excited when you shared that with me the other day. And so I really wanted others to hear that as well. I think one thing that's really important, sometimes we don't always know how to get our families on board. And for me personally, I have kind of a diverse family. I have two older boys that are almost 21, almost 18. And then I have this little mini me that's almost 11 years old. And then I have a husband, who has a completely different mentality that I do, which is why we balance each other. And so I've really been searching for tools on how to get my family on board and how to motivate them without them necessarily feeling like I'm hounding them. And so about 3 months ago, I redid an entire wall in my home. And I've been waiting for the first of the year to really kind of develop it. And because I want it to be in an area where they all walk past it. So it's kind of in the forefront of their minds. So I was trying to figure out a tool on what I could do to get them to kind of brain dump, but also very simplify, like make it very simple for them. And if you don't mind, I would love to share this tool. There's a gal that's in my VIP group. She lives in my town. She has her own YouTube channel, so we'll share it there. She does some really neat things on house cleaning tips and cooking recipes. And she shared this document. Her name is Sheri Hemingway. So we will link her on our YouTube channel of how to get to her page as well. But she created this Google Doc of basically your 5 pivot points of where your goals can be. And it's very simple. And it's something even my 11-year-old can do, but something that my 21-year-old isn't going to be like, oh, mom, I do this myself. So I really think it could be powerful for you and your family, or even just yourself to do that brain dump on, or even just to find one topic in each. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And then I also want to show you the wall that I'm creating, just because I think it's a really fun way to bring your family into the mix. Because for me, it doesn't matter if I am goal planning. If nobody's behind my goals, if they're complaining when I'm leaving at night, or they're complaining, then everything can kind of blow up. So even if they don't participate, it's really important for them to understand what you are trying to accomplish. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. This is the Google Doc that Sheri created. So you can see it's very simple. And that's what I love, because it can work for, like I said, an 11-year-old or somebody my age or older. So this is just something very simple. It's 5 really cute bubbles that you can print out. They can put one or more on there, or they could do a big brain dump like Rebecca was talking about in a notebook, and then just highlight one of each. So it talks about personal, finances, home, spiritual, and fitness. And you could even change this if maybe you're not home a lot and you want it to be business, or maybe you don't want a goal in fitness. You could, so I really think you can change this. If you don't want to name it finances, you could name that business. So this can be very adaptable, but I loved that she even made the kids sign and date it, because that right there creates that accountability. And so this was just a super simple doc. And I think oftentimes when we search online, there's a lot of chaos. And so one of the things that Sheri does on her page is really simplify life. She simplifies how to do laundry, little things that are really great. And then I just wanted to show you the wall I created in my home. And that's what this is for. I wanted a really beautiful saying of, this is something you can do. So the saying that I chose was this: ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. And then attitude determines how well you do it. And then I wanted to have a picture of each of my kids in their sports uniforms with us all there together, because we're in this together, but sports remind each other that it's kind of their own hard work that gets them there. So then all of these little cork boards are individual, so we can pull them off the wall, and they can take those little bubbles and create their own vision board and have it in our kitchen, where they are going to see it no matter where they are. If they're just walking by, it's just going to be one of those things that my family will see and it's going to be a reminder. So that's just sort of something I love, as far as I love a vision board. I love having things said verbally. I love them written down. And so it's one of the things that I'm really excited about this year, because Sheri's document really kind of made me go, okay, I can sit my family down for 20 minutes and make them think about this. And they can take it away. I just want it back. I'm going to give them the paper, explain it, and say, okay, I want this back by Monday night at 9 o'clock. And then the following week, we're going to put them on the cork board. So I just think there's some power in that.
Absolutely. And it doesn't cost a thing, which is what I love. I mean, there's been huge dynasties that have been built on the whole goal planning and calendaring and just all of that. I mean, Laura Casey is one of the things that she's got, the Power Sheets goal planner, and it basically breaks down what you just did, but it's in a much more blown out, I guess, format. And so I like that that's just quick and easy, and you can get right to it, and it doesn't take any time at all. It just takes some thought process, and it costs a sheet of paper. So
Yeah. Well, and if with kids, they're all going to do, I have one child that says my goals are personal. He's not going to want me to be a part of his brain dump. So what I want him to do is be able to put something general on our board, but keep maybe his goals that he, in an area where they're still written down on the sheet, but they're his. And so I felt like this was a really simple way for us to come together and do something as a family, but still respect their boundaries, because I do have that aspect of adult children and one preteen. So it's a harder balance at times.
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, when you're looking at your year, Amy, how do you start out? When you're looking at your calendar, deciding how things are going to flow, what's one of the first things that you do?
Well, I think I'm like anybody. I have to block it out of what takes priority. So it's obviously, when my boys were in sports, it was school, because I knew that I would need to be with them, sporting events, different things, and I didn't want to miss. My kids are my priority. So I would immediately get on the school calendar, look at their sports schedules, and I would take my planner that I buy, and you'll notice I have like little pink marks. Those are going to be my availability nights for my cabbie shows. I also have, Rebecca, you'll be proud, I have our StyleRX meetings written down. So I know that those are the things. So anything that I take from the vision board that I want to work on, family being first, I'm going to take our health appointments, dentist, of course, my hair. My hairdresser gets mad at me because I'm always looking for her next year's calendar way before she buys it. And she's like, I can't book you out. And I'm like, nope. It's funny, but that is the one thing that fills my cup. I know I want my hair done. So I will schedule my hair appointments out. I schedule everything out. And then because we're in the business of fashion and I'm dealing with clients and everything else, and it doesn't matter if you're in my business or a different business, or maybe you do something on the side. I don't want to say, when do you want to do this? Because they may only want to do it on that one ball game that I had scheduled out for my kids. And so that's why it's so important, I think, to reassess. And I like to reassess every 6 months, versus do it for a full year, because seasons change. And so for me, I will block out anything, that goes past the 6 month mark. If it's a doctor appointment, like my husband's health has often required us to schedule a once a year appointment or different things. So obviously that's going to be there. But anything that I have control in, I like to reassess every 6 months, and it works great for my business. But I can go back and I can say, okay, these are the dates that I have available. Or if I have a girlfriend that says, hey, let's get Braylee and our girls together, I can immediately say, well, I can't do it this week, but Monday on, the third Monday of the month. It sounds cold, but actually, you guys, what I'm doing is I'm ensuring when I'm with her, I'm giving her my quality time. So I may have to wait an extra week to see my girlfriend and her daughters, but when I'm there, I get to be there. And so for me, I don't want to, there's nothing that drives me bonkers more. And I know we're all guilty of this, so I'm not pinpointing, but I don't want to take time out of my day to go with somebody and then have them be like, oh, sorry, I have a client, oh, hold on. I don't want to do that to anybody, and I don't like it when it's done to me. So I would much rather wait an extra week or two and have a couple of hours that are quality time, especially with my daughter. If I'm going to take that time away and it's going to be an activity with her, I want to be in the moment. So that's why calendaring has become very important to me. What about you, Rebecca? How has it impacted your life?
Yeah, I think we've all been out to eat or something like that, and you look around and everybody has their head buried in their phone and they're not even engaged or interacting with those people that are around them. So I think that's a really key point, is being just present in the moment and allowing yourself to be fully there and not be thinking about something else. Because I think that's one of the biggest frustrations is, when you're working, then you're thinking about your family and there's guilt surrounding that. And with your family, you're thinking about work and then there's guilt surrounding that. And so if you can just really be very focused and present in the moment with where you are and know that you are just fully there and not thinking about something else, I think that is absolutely huge. So the other thing that I like that you brought up is readdressing it every 6 months. And it's really easy in our business because we kind of work we work year round, but it's a 6-month cycle essentially. And so there's been different times. I keep going back to this one brand of planner that I'm back to again, but another planner that I have used is an actual 6-month planner, and it worked out perfect because it was January through June, which coincides with our spring season, and then July through December, coinciding with our fall season. And so that was nice, and it created that reflection time as well. So just really finding things that work for you, but taking that bird's eye view and knowing what you want things to look like, and then mapping it out and planning it out to make it look that way as best you can. We've talked about pivoting, and that's so important too.
So what are some of your favorite tips on your planner? Because that was the one thing I struggled with. I know everybody, the big joke was the biggest waste of money I made was getting a planner for 2020. That's been a meme and everything. But I really struggled to find a planner that I really liked this year, because the ones that I had loved actually went out of date. And oftentimes I find that there's stuff in there that I'm not using. So this year I found this one and I really, really like it. I would love to know what one you use, but this is called The Efficient Life. And the reason I love it is it came with these little tabs, so it's super easy to get with your month that you want. And then on the tabs, it has a quick overview of the days of the month ahead as well. But after the month, then there is a space for notes to write. And that's pretty much it. So all the pages in between are just notes for each date. And there's not a lot of chaotic things in there, because I feel like a lot of people need to write all of that down, but I feel like that's sort of what my vision board is. I'm not good about, I feel like it gets too messy and I don't see it in my planner. So what I want my planner to do for me is to take all the chaos from my cell phone and put the important things on paper, so it's a quick glance. Does that make sense? So what planner have you found that you really, really love that works well for you, and why?
Yeah. So I'm very visual and I'm also tactile. So I love to have paper in my hands. And that's one of the reasons that I do have an electronic calendar. I use my Google Calendar, and it syncs with the You Can Book Me. And so, and that's really why I even started using an electronic calendar, because I thought, yeah, I just needed that. So the planner that I always go back to, and there's a reason. So first of all, that 6-month planner that I talked about, one of the things that I did not like about it is I lost my weekly view. It had daily pages that were fantastic. But for me, I use my weekly plan daily. So hopefully that makes sense. But I use the Passion Planner, and it's one that you can print the pages off the website for free. Try it out. I did that for several years, and I put them all in an ARC notebook, which are those ring notebooks that you can just add pages to, and they're really easy to customize. I did that for at least a couple years, and just to make sure that I did in fact like it, and I was able to add pages that were relative to what I was doing that month as well. But I've gotten to where I just use their larger format, and I write big, so I like the bigger format. They do have a size that is, you know, more like the size of the spiral notebook, but I just like this one.
I
So
noticed yours has the tabs too, like a,
yes, I have to be able to go exactly right to where I need to
Yep.
go. So it's quick and easy. And I do use some binder clips, like these little pink binder clips, to when I get deeper into the year, I just kind of binder clip the preceding months back so that I'm not having to flip through them all the time, because I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit lazy about it. But the Passion Planner, you have a monthly view that's nice and big. You can write everything in, and then we have weekly views. And so there's plenty of time or space to write down what you have going on each day, but this is also a week at a glance. And for me, with my planning, I plan every week. Like, I sit down on Saturday night or Sunday morning before church, and I just look at what's coming for the week. I get it all like filled in, so I know exactly what's happening and things are not taking me by surprise, which is important to me. I find that I get real resistant to like having to have everything written down, but that's just how I function the best. So I've learned to just kind of push past that and get it all out and written down. So the other thing that I like about this planner, you can choose to have it start your month and your week on Monday. Again, my brain does not work that way. My brain starts on Sunday and works the week that way. So you can customize it that way. I like that, but it just has a ton of space. It's got some personal things you can do. This big blank area is called the space of infinite possibility, which is, you know, I usually use it to write down little notes to myself about, hey, well, like in the monthly one, I've got showcase a fashion flash capsule, you know, just kind of brainstorming what's going to be happening in the month. Also, as you're doing your brain dump, be thinking, so on my brain dump would be clean out the garage, clean out the barn, things like that. Obviously, activities I'm not going to tackle in the dead of winter, so I'm going to schedule those in April or May. And I do put that kind of stuff on my calendar, because if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. It must be scheduled. And just like Amy was talking earlier about having your family time scheduled, it's so important. I've got a couple really close friends that we have monthly lunch dates, and we have those scheduled. So when we sit down and enjoy each other at lunch, we schedule the next month, and it's just a recurring thing. They're busy, I'm busy. If we didn't schedule those, they would never happen. And then we'd get to the end of the year and look back and go, oh my gosh, I didn't even connect with the people that I really want to be surrounding myself with. So as you're doing your brain dumps and just really looking at how you want your life to look, make sure and get it on the calendar, and that'll make it happen.
I had two thoughts come up to me, and these are two thoughts that maybe people don't think about with a handwritten planner. And it's two thoughts that I really think I should share. My grandma and grandpa actually used their planner as their journals. So they would schedule things out, and then as the day ended, because they didn't like to write long journals, but they would go back and they would just put a little note. So the big one that you have where you've got lots of extra space, they would say, went to lunch with Johnny, it was fun, or played cards with whatever. And when they passed away, I got to take a lot of their planners. Now, people are like, why do you want their calendars? Because I knew that there were little tiny nuggets of love in there. And
Not
so
only that, but their handwriting, which
their
is so
handwriting,
cool.
it's there, and they would write, so I do have that. And then I also have a girlfriend, um, depending on what you want, if maybe you have a spiritual goal for the year, she actually will take her handwritten planner and she will put people's names in it every day that come to mind that she might think needs to have a prayer. And so at the end of the night, she'll actually hold her planner and, pray. It's her way of having a prayer circle or having a prayer list. And so I think sometimes we take these things and think that they're only used for tasks. And we forget that there can be a higher power in these. I really think that when we talk about reflection, this is also one of the most powerful tools, because it may not be a quote journal, but you can go back and you can go, okay, man, I let my business fall off the cliff on this month. What was I doing that let my business fall off the cliff? Or, oh my gosh, I scheduled out so many fun activities for my kids and I forgot that we just went to the park and played for an hour. I want to do that again. So I think the whole purpose of this hour together today really is to help you figure out what's important and how you're going to remember to do it. It's not about one side or the other. It's about finding that mix. And for me, I'm really, really good at scheduling an hour to exercise. It's great for me, but I fall off the cliff a lot. In August and September, I was in the greatest shape of my life. I was, writing my food down, having all the accountability, and then life kind of got to me. And now I'm like, maybe 3 days a week. But it's one of those things that I love my Apple Watch for, because it will document my activity levels and I can go back and reflect on that and say, I felt really good in that moment. That's not something I have to have written down, but it is that same idea of going back and finding that purpose. And so I love this hour where we get to kind of bounce ideas off each other. And really, you guys, these can be very powerful. It's not that everybody needs it, but I think about the difference between this and this. Nobody can have access to this. If it's locked, if it's lost, if they don't know how to get into your account, you can have this be a record. And I don't want to tear up, but I am so thankful that I have little nuggets of my grandparents here. I mean, how cool is that nobody
Power
else?
in the written word.
Yeah.
There's so
And
much power.
what makes me sad is nobody else in the family found value in their planners. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take those. My dad was a great journaler. He had volumes and volumes and volumes, but I'm not a journaler. That's why I actually love Facebook Memories, because it does it for me, but that is only good to me. So, I think if anything, if my kids found an old planner in my desk before they threw it away, you're going to glance at it. They could go, oh, mom was really busy back then. What was she doing? So I think there is a higher power in writing things down, saying it out loud. If you want to accomplish a goal, write it down, say it out loud. I mean, we hear that over and over and over, and it's the same thing in balance of your life. If you want to go on a hike, say it out loud. On Monday, I'm going on a hike on Saturday, and it's going to happen more than it won't if you don't use those tools. So
Absolutely. And I love that your friend wrote down individuals to pray for. I don't know if you can see over my shoulder, those are Christmas cards that we've gotten. And I've gotten to where every year it would make me so sad to throw those away at the end of the year. And so I got to where I would keep them, the ones with the pictures on them, and they all go in a small box, and then they get prayed over every day. I pull another one out to pray over them. And so if you are like me and you absolutely cherish those Christmas cards that come in every year, but you're so sad to see them go, put them in a box and by your Bible or whatever your morning routine is, have it there and just pull one out and just reflect on that relationship and pray over them and what's happening in their life.
Yeah, it's such a neat thing. I mean, I love that you do that. And I think sometimes we think, oh, people don't want cards anymore, but they brighten my day. And I didn't get any out this year. And honestly, I'm sad about that, it was one thing I'm like, I'm going to blame that one on 2020. But it was also kind of one thing I thought, okay, where's my priority here? What is it something I can afford to do? I want to give money in a different way. So, that's where I have been able to give myself a little grace. But knowing that you do that, Rebecca, I think that's where I have also heard instead of putting it in a box is punching a hole through it and getting one of those little metal rings so that you can keep it on a ring and so
Yeah.
that you can flip them that way. So I think that it's an incredible thing. And as we go into this year, I just want to tell everyone thank you for tuning in, whether it's a recording on our YouTube channel or you're live. Um, to think that we have sometimes, for me personally, I'm not going to speak for Rebecca here, but I think we get those little insecurities come up and we go, well, why would anyone want to listen to me? Really, why would they pipe in? I think it's really important to remember that we all have value and that we all have a perspective that maybe somebody else can learn from. And so, my challenge to you this year, if anything else, is to remember that you are valued, that you are worthy of love, that you are divine and have something to share. And there is power in vulnerability and there is power in being brave. And so, if anything, I just want my clients and anybody listening to know thank you, because me being here with Rebecca, you guys tuning in with us, has helped reaffirm me in a way that we do have value and that you keep coming back, whether it's something that you learn or you're just bored for an hour. I doubt that, but I just want to say thank you because your value is not taken for granted on my behalf. So
Absolutely. We appreciate each and every one of you so very much. And you bring so much value into our lives. And that is just our ultimate desire for you, is to just pour into you and help fill your cup. We hope that this will be a time of joy, a time of inspiration, a time of creativity for you. I know it certainly is for me. And I look forward to it each and every week. And I'm just so happy to be here.
well, I hope that my 20-year-old that came up and started banging pans, you think you can let them know, hey, I need silence for an hour at 11 o'clock and they'll listen, but
Well,
no.
my husband was making lunch in the background, so hopefully none of that was caught. And if it was, here we are, real life.
Yeah. So I hope it wasn't too distracting, but next week we will be back for Style RX. Was there anything more that you wanted to say, Rebecca, before we bring this?
I've got some books that have really changed my life, and I'm not going to go through them here, but I will leave links for them in the description of this video recording. So those will be on YouTube for you. If you're watching this recording, you can just click the little down arrow on the bottom right hand side of the video, and that will expand out the comments, and there will be a lot of information there for you. I know Amy has got that fabulous tool that she's going to be posting, and I'm sure she'll post some favorite books and podcast links, and I will as well. And we can't wait to see in the comments what some of your favorite books and podcasts and just things that really bring you joy. If you've got a favorite playlist on Spotify, let us know, because those are things that not only help us, it helps everyone in this community.
Absolutely. I can't work out without a little bit of motivating music. And life is that way. We need a little bit of everything so that we can really filter through and figure out what works. And what works today may not work tomorrow. So I love stretching and growing and learning from you. as much as, our clients have impacted me more than anything. I've learned from so many incredible women. So please, please do what Rebecca said. Comment with all of your favorites below. Next week, we will be back with our fashion flash items for spring 21.
And there is so much color coming our way.
I know. And Rebecca loves yellow. So I know there's going to be some yellow. It is absolutely beautiful. You guys, we're talking about simplifying. There is going to be some so much fun, but there's a lot of great basics in the spring line. Your whites and blacks, and then adds pops of color. It is going to be incredible. So the fashion flash, if you do not remember how that works, if you book a February show, it can be virtual. It can be through our, virtual with Zoom. It can be through our Front Row platform, which, by the way, always pick that choice. It's amazing. It can be in person. It can be you and 2 guests. However you want to book a show, that is between you and your stylist. But if you schedule a show during the month of February, starting today, you get to order one of 5 items that our design team has specifically picked, and you get to order them from January 1st to January 31st at 50% off. You get 1 item. Now, the other 4 items you can buy right now as well at full retail, but if you schedule a February show, you get one at 50% off. Those are live today, correct, Rebecca?
They are. And the thing that I love so much is that this season, we've created an instant capsule for you with our fashion flash pieces, because we have 2 bottoms, we have 2 tops, and we have 2 third pieces, or jacket / cardigan. And
yes,
so
we have 6 pieces this season, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they actually added one. My habit rolled out the 5, but I forgot we have 6. So yes, so we will be back on Friday, capsuling those pieces, putting them on, mixing them up. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's just going to be Rebecca and I next week. But get your show scheduled, because the following week after that, we get to see the clothes on the runway. We're going to be really, really diving into spring. And you guys, it is a season of hope, joy, and one little, I'm sure Rebecca's clients know this, mine have heard it over and over. In fact, I posted a funny picture of Target and these like prairie dresses. They look almost like polygamy dresses. I'm from Utah, so I can say that. It is horrible. In fact, Rebecca, I'll send you the post. There's actually a woman that started posing in these dresses, and she looks like she's in scary movies. So they're bad. Let me just say they're that bad that they almost look like Halloween costumes. But Cabby, through COVID, has pushed and gone forward, and our design team, they are being brave, just like we need to be. They are being daring. They are moving forward. Our manufacturers are blown away that Cabby is continuing to order brand new inventory, because from one of the founders' mouths in one of my leadership meetings, she said that there are so many designers that are withholding orders for this spring and fall season, and they're actually just trying to clear out their clearance warehouses and make them be like new items. They're not doing anything new. They're not doing anything fresh. They're not doing anything fun.
Yeah, I think that's big, because 2020 has been tough on businesses, whether they're small businesses or large businesses. It's been tough, but because of you and because of the leadership of our executive leadership team, Cabby remains strong. And we're putting that a lot on you, our valued clients, because you have enabled us to continue. And because of that, we've expanded. We had a little bit of, we had a third new arrival collection this season. We're taking that right on into spring and so instead of pulling back and giving you less options, you have more options coming your way. And I think you're going to love our marketing materials more than you've ever loved any of our catalogs or pictures before, because here again, we capitalized on what life was throwing at us, and our incredible design team and marketing team, they thought outside the box and they brought in quarantines, TEAMS. And so you're going to see families together. You're going to be seeing dogs. And it's just such a lovely, lovely campaign.
And bright, bright colors of hope. I mean, look at my nails. I'm already ready for spring.
Yeah.
And these are just press-ons, people. So you can do it. You don't have to, you can be in quarantine and have press-on nails. So it is so fun. I mean, even my lips are pink. I am ready for spring. I am ready to get out of the doom and gloom of fall, even though our fall was amazing. But look how, I mean, I'm in this vintage cabbie piece, and that is why we love it. Spring is going to mix into fall, which is going to mix into, you know, the following. So you guys hold on to that saddle horn. We are ready to take off and just have so much fun. So that being said, we're going to end today and just say thank you again. We look forward to seeing you next week for our Fashion Flash collection. And then on the 13th and the 20th will be our behind the curtain sessions. We pushed it back 1 week because of Scoop and different things. But we will be behind the curtain with some new stylists telling their stories, why they love the business. And then Rebecca and I will go back behind the curtain on the 20th and really talk about commissions. And if there's anything new for the spring 21 season, we'll really update you on all things cabbie behind the curtain. So stay tuned. We're so excited. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us there, comment. It really helps us know that this is a value to you. So with that being said, have a wonderful, wonderful day.